Welcome back to the show and welcome to week 4 of our Best Self Challenge. This week's theme is tapping into rich girl energy, aka we are bringing you everything you need to get control over your finances and be the CEO of your own life in 2026. To follow along with the challenge, go to everygirl.com, or I've linked the challenge in the show description below. And who better to teach you how to tap into rich girl energy than my favorite and your favorite money expert, Tori Dunlap. Tori is the founder of Her First 100K and a best-selling author of the book Financial Feminist, which helped literally millions of women around the world become more empowered, confident, and in control of their finances. Tori first came on the podcast in January 2023. You can go listen to that episode. It is called How to Have an Abundance Mindset and Grow Your Wealth with Tori Dunlap of Her First 100K. I have no idea which episode number it is because that was before we thought to number our episodes. That was so long ago. That was, I think we were only like 6 months into the podcast. But Tori is an OG. And since the first time she came on the podcast 3 years ago, a lot has changed with her, with the Everygirl Podcast audience, and with the world and the state of our country. So a little about Tori if you're new here. She did not go to school for finance. She always says she hated numbers. And still, with some smart money moves, she became a self-made millionaire by 27. And now at 31, she's on a mission to help as many women as possible do the same. But Tori isn't just about spreadsheets and saving accounts. She's about financial revolution. She's here to dismantle the shame, rewrite the rules, and remind us that money is about freedom, healing, and reclaiming your power while giving you the exact blueprint to grow your wealth. In this conversation, we get real about why money is the ultimate wellness tool, how financial empowerment is the most rebellious, radical thing you can do, and the exact steps to take right now if you want to be that girl financially in 2026. We talk limiting beliefs, money rituals, exactly how much money you should keep in your checking account versus invest, and why Tori wants every woman to feel uncontrollable. Whether you're building your emergency fund, asking for a raise, want to level up your finances, or just want to stop feeling shame around money, this episode will light a fire under you. It's empowering, it's emotional, and it's going to change the way you think about wealth forever. Tori is not only a force and an absolutely powerful teacher, but she's also a friend and someone I just love to talk to, so you will love this convo. Welcome back, Tori Dunlap, to the Everygirl Podcast. Okay, so I was looking back at our previous episode. You were on the podcast 3 years ago at the very beginning of 2023, which is so hard to believe. I know. Isn't that crazy that that was so long ago? It feels
Probably
like it
to
was.
talk about my book because that's what was happening at that time. But that's hard to believe that was 3 years ago.
Isn't that crazy? So I want you to fill us in, like what for you has changed because so much has changed in the world, in
Yeah.
money culture, in your own life. So what is something that you've learned about wealth or finance or abundance since we talked 3 years ago?
I think I honestly just learned or recommitted to how important this work is. The thing that I think about that I say in my book, that's one of our taglines of our work, is that a financial education is your best form of protest. And in a society and in a system that wants to keep you playing small, that wants to keep you broke and overworked and not in control of your own decisions, I think that the best thing we can do anytime, but especially at this moment when everything feels so chaotic, so out of our control, is take your financial education really seriously. And I have seen in my own life that when I double down on learning how to pay off debt, when I double down on learning how to save, learning how to grow my money through investing, learning how to start a business, it changed not just my financial life, but it changed literally everything for me. And that is the feeling that we help women feel. And it's just such important work anytime, but especially right now.
Do you ever look at, oh my gosh, my book was at the perfect time because it
Mm.
set women up for what we didn't even see coming in our political space?
I mean, I'm not like a political strategist. I wish I could say like, "Oh, I didn't see this coming." I'm not surprised that we are where
Yeah.
we are as a culture. That's not entirely surprising for me because women's rights have been under attack forever and the patriarchy loves a controlled woman. Like the patriarchy loves being able to dictate what you do with your life, being able to dictate what you do with your decisions. And the patriarchy's worst nightmare is an uncontrollable woman. Anybody listening, like, I want you uncontrollable. I want you to be able to exercise your self-worth, and money is the best tool you have to do that.
Amen to that. For people that are maybe newer to your ideas, who maybe
Yeah.
didn't listen to our part one, can you explain why exactly that is? Because I think there's a lot of people who think of finances, I know, as you know, that are like, oh, it's just the boring kind of thing I have to
Numbers,
do,
it's
and it's
math.
taxes and
Yeah,
numbers,
yeah, yeah.
right? So why is money so radical and rebellious?
The first thing I have to tell anybody who is believing it's just numbers or math, which is the common thing, is I majored in theater and communication in college. Okay. I majored in theater. I have a theater degree and an organizational communication degree, which basically means that I studied marketing with less math because I didn't want to do as much math to go get a business degree. That is what I went to college for. I am now a multimillionaire. I became a multimillionaire at 27. I'm 31 now. You don't have to be good with math to be good with money. And in fact, women are better with money than men, statistically proven time and time again, because we are more in tune with our emotions. We're more in tune with what's going on. We're more in tune with our mindset. I know you talk about mindset so much on this show. And it's one of the things that absolutely has the power to unlock you being good with money. It's not about spreadsheets. It's not about like, yeah, oh, I was bad at math in high school. No, it is about understanding your emotions, understanding your triggers. When we talk about the importance of money, we can look at every single thing that we want out of life, and I can tie it back to money. And not even in like a 7 degrees to Kevin Bacon way. Like I can do like a direct line between the thing that you want and how money makes that thing easier. You want to work a job that you love that gives you freedom and flexibility. The only reason you work a job, right? Like I don't dream of labor. The only reason you work a job is because you need money. And when you have financial stability, and we're not talking Jeff Bezos amount of money. We're just talking like an emergency fund. We're just talking enough money to be able to have flexibility. You can leave the job that doesn't respect you or hasn't given you a raise in 5 years. This is what I did. The intro of my book, I talk about accepting a job that I thought was going to be a career high for me and realizing very quickly that this job was super toxic. And I didn't have to stay. I quit after 10 weeks and then spent the next 3 months unemployed, which wasn't ideal. But I didn't have to worry about money during that time because I had an emergency fund set. If you want a sustainable, lovely, healthy relationship, the number one reason couples break up is money. So you have to start talking about money with your partner. You have to figure out how you're going to use money as a tool to be able to have children or buy a house or travel once a year or whatever that looks like for you. And if you don't have a partner, you still need money to figure out how you're going to do all of the things I just mentioned if that's something you want. If you want to get affordable health care, unfortunately, in this country, you need money to be able to do that. All of the things that we want out of life and all of the dreams and the goals that we have need money. Now, I am not a fan of capitalism. I am not a fan of stockpiling and hoarding money because that is, one, means I've exploited somebody, and two, probably means that I have become the cartoon rich person that is just focused on accumulating as much as possible. But I also can't lose capitalism either because this is the system that currently exists. And ultimately, you still have to pay your rent. You still have to put food on the table. You still have to make sure that you're protecting your retirement and your financial future, as well as being able to afford Taylor Swift tickets right now. My goal is to help you survive capitalism and get to the point where you feel financially whole enough that you're no longer stressed about money, so that not only can you better take care of your family, better take care of yourself, but also we start to change the system for everybody else.
Yes, like money is the tool to live the life that you want, but then also there's something really powerful that happens when more wealth gets in the hands of women.
Yes.
We share it, right? We reinvest in our communities. There's so much more power when women have money, and that's how we change the world.
Nothing bad happens when women have money. Nothing bad
Mm.
happens. Everything you just said, we're more generous, we're more community oriented, we are always thinking about others. Like that, there's something so beautiful about that. And so many women push away money because they're like, I don't want to be a bad person, and rich people are bad people. We all have, met a bad rich person. We see them on TV all the time, right? And there's also people who are doing radically beautiful things with money. They have enough money to take care of themselves, to buy themselves nice things every once in a while, and to make sure that they're no longer in that trauma state of when's the other shoe going to drop? What's going to happen? Am I going to be able to afford this? Is my car going to decline when I go and put it down on the table to try to buy dinner for my friends, right? Like that's what we're talking about. And I know one of your passions is wellness and health. And we cannot talk about all of the rest of that unless we're talking about money too. Like we can't talk about eating good food because eating good food costs money. We can't talk about being Pilates princesses. It's very expensive. In case you haven't looked at a Pilates studio lately, they're very expensive, right? All of the things we talk about around mental health is the big one. Like when you're no longer worried about money, like 90% of your anxiety goes away.
It's so true. Like stress is the number one catalyst for many different chronic issues. And then we look at what are our common stresses. For the vast majority of people, the number one is money. It's your well being. It is the foundation of your health, your relationships, your career trajectory, like everything you want in life. And I know we talked about this last episode, but I was blown away at how you spoke about money because that was so different than I'd ever heard it being talked about before. And we talked so much about money mindset, the psychology behind money, limiting beliefs. So I'm curious for you, because I do feel like it's such a lifelong journey, getting rid of
Yeah.
limiting beliefs, shifting our relationship with money. For you in the past 3 years since our last episode, was there any other limiting beliefs or mindsets that you changed or let go of yourself?
Oh, I don't know if I've been asked that question. That's a great question. I think the unique thing about when women decide, okay, I am unapologetically going to pursue money. Again, not because I'm Scrooge McDuck, but like because I'm going to allow myself to have a lovely, beautiful life that is generous and kind and fruitful, is that women feel shame no matter what. Like women feel shame about their money when they feel like they're not doing enough. So, oh, I have debt. I can't afford this bachelorette trip I just got invited on, and I feel ashamed about that. Like we feel so much shame when we're not doing enough. And then uniquely, the patriarchy is very good at also making us feel ashamed when we're doing well. Oh, I make more money than any of my girlfriends, and I feel bad about that. Or, yeah, I'm actually, I'm able to buy a house. And unfortunately, that's a privilege right now in the United States. Like, I feel bad about that. And I think one of the things I've constantly had to work through is that as I've progressed, as our business has continued to progress, I am doing well financially. I am financially independent, meaning that if I quit work tomorrow, I could live off my investments for the rest of my life. And that is a feeling that I'm so proud of because I've worked really hard, but also that comes with a ton of privilege. Like I had the privilege of a financial education from my parents. And with that financial education, I was able to get a head start. I understood the importance of saving and investing as soon as I got my like first big girl job in my 20s. Of course, that's what I'm trying to do with my work is pass on that privilege. But it's so easy to just have a moment where you're going, why am I okay, but other people aren't? I know what women feel because, again, we're community oriented, we're generous, we want to take care of people. And the thing that I always keep in mind is I am so lucky and privileged to be in this position. And also, I can now do things because my oxygen mask is fully on. I can do things to help other people, and specifically other women in marginalized groups, have this for themselves too. Every single year, I've donated more money than I donated last year. And for 2025, that was true. Like I donated more money than I donated in 2024. And 2024 was more donations than I did in 2023. And like we're able to give women jobs and take really good care of them. We offer pretty great company benefits at her first 100K. I'm able to treat people to things. I'm taking my parents on an African safari, which was a lifelong, it's gonna make me cry. It was a lifelong dream for my mom who has only been out of the country, I think once, maybe twice, and, like, is
Wow.
so excited to be able to do that, and we're going through, like, this health scare in my family, and I'm not gonna talk about it a ton, but, like, I am not worried about money. How incredible is it to be able to be fully present, during a crisis and not have to worry about how we're going to afford it. That's the feeling I want for every single woman on the planet. So, you ask what's changed. It's very easy to get caught in the cycle of that because am thinking about others. My brain is like, oh, why do you have that and that other person doesn't? And what I've had to train my brain to do is just stop right there rather than spiral and go down a road that's not productive and just go, okay, so what can we do to be more generous? What can we do with the privilege that we do have or the status we do have or the money we do have to create more opportunities for other people? And that's, I think, a much more productive path to go on. Your situation anybody listening is probably not exactly like mine. Everybody's situation is different. But you are going to have moments where you go, why am I able to do that, but they aren't? Or vice versa. Why are they able to do that, but I can't? Everybody's on their own journey. And I know you've heard this, right? You listen to the show. I know you've heard like everybody's on their own path. It's going to happen what's going to happen. But like, this is what's so important to realize is that is an opportunity or a moment rather than get in this shame spiral. Instead, it's, okay, what can this moment allow me to do that is a concrete action I can take? Sometimes I just whip out my phone and I donate money. That's so cool. I'm able to do that. Or it is, okay, how do I make sure I'm checking in with my team to make sure that they're successful? And so I think that that is one mindset that I've definitely had to work through and that I constantly have to work through is that almost guilt of feeling like, oh, I'm doing well when somebody else isn't.
That is such a relatable feeling for women because no matter what, even if someone's not at the level you're at, we all have had that experience of feeling guilt if we feel good. Like there's this inherent, if you feel good, then you're not being selfless enough, then you're not thinking of others enough. So I think that's incredibly relatable. I mean, we're taught you should ask for a raise and ask for more money. And it kind of becomes this like, why should I? Why me? Why me? So
Right. It's
it's
a
an
worthy
incredibly
issue.
relatable it's an incredibly relatable thing to wrestle with the why me when other people don't. I think that's why you deserve it because you have that guilt and that inherent, what can I be doing with it that's going to
Right.
make this world better instead of hoarding it? That's the reason you deserve it.
I've been seeing a lot of conversation, I think is almost like an extension of my work of like, it is your obligation actually to get rich because there are plenty of people, men, who are out here getting rich on the backs of their employees. And like Elon Musk is out here just accumulating wealth just for funsies. You have the obligation right now to get rich because if you don't, someone else who is not as generous and who is not as kind and who is not as self-aware they're going to go out and get rich. That for me is like exactly what we're talking about here. You have an obligation to take care of yourself. And I also think we're really good at martyring ourselves as women. That is the role that we play in society. That's the role that, again, the patriarchy of the system expects. We have to be the ones who are always exhausted and who are always putting everybody else's needs above our own. And that is how we win as women. Like that's the good girl trap. And ultimately, who is that serving? Who is the martyrdom serving? It's not you. It's not your family. It's not your community. It's the system and the patriarchy that feels like you have to suffer in order to earn money or suffer in order to get this opportunity. None of it's true. None of it's true.
The best thing that we could do is get over the guilt, is to tell ourselves exactly like you just so beautifully explained. It's our job to make more money because if we know that we're going to do something good with it, including take our families on the dream vacation and give ourselves the things that make us happy, that's included in that. It's not like you have to give up everything, but it is our job to be the ones to make more money and to build our wealth because we will reinvest it into our communities. So, with that being said, I want to get into your money tricks and tips so that women can actually get there and grow their wealth. If someone listening wants to become, like that girl financially in
Yeah.
2026, they want to tap into rich girl energy, they want to upgrade their finances. Where should she actually begin today?
The first thing, and I have never talked about this publicly, so I'm really excited to talk about it here. The first
Ooh.
thing you need to do is stop listening to all of the people who are going to tell you how to manifest money. Now, I believe that manifestation is real. It's been scientifically proven. It's not woo-woo. It is more like the red car theory of once you've just trained your brain to see the red car, it sees it all over. But I'm more talking about there's a lot of people making content right now that are like, keep $250 cash in your pocket at all times to call in money and comment down below, I claim this in order to get good at money. Like, it drives me fucking up a wall because that practice is fine if you're also like creating a budget. And none of those content creators want to talk about creating a budget. They just want to like be in their like little Lululemon outfits and just like, oh, I call in energy. And like, no. So first of all, you can't just do that. That's anything, right? I can't say, oh, I'm going to be so healthy this year. I call in abundance and health, and then you never go to the gym and you never eat a salad. It's not going to work. So the first thing you have to understand is you can't just want this. You have to do something about it. A goal without a plan is just a wish. I'm going to say that again. A goal without a plan is just a wish. It is a fantasy. It is a hypothetical. It is not actually happening. The second thing is once you realize a goal without a plan is just a wish, is that you have to stop ignoring your money. And I know that sounds obvious, but the amount of women, we have 5 million women in our community. People join every day and they tell me, I haven't looked at my money in 6 months. I don't look at my bills. I don't look at my student debt portal. I don't look at my credit card statement because I'm too afraid of what I'll find. Nothing changes unless you change it. Nothing is going to actually change unless you get honest about what is going on. And I signed up for like basically what we do for women's money, but for like health coaching. And one of the things I'm even realizing is that I'm sometimes doing the like, well, I want to get healthier, but like I'm not reading food labels. I'm not looking at exactly what I'm eating because it's easier to just live in blissful ignorance. And in the same way that not any food is bad in moderation, it's the same thing with spending. You have to get honest about where you're at if you're actually going to make changes. One of the things I talk about in my book and my podcast is what's called the ostrich effect. And this is where you're like taking your head out of the sand. You stop acting like your problems don't exist and you get honest about where you're at. So how do we actually do that? I think the best way is a financial self-care practice I call the money date. It is a designated time to sit down and look at your money. This can be every Sunday for a half hour. That's when I like to do mine. But it is a designated time. You can get yourself like takeout from your favorite restaurant, like make it something you look forward to, but it has to be a committed time in your calendar that you're not going to skip. And you're looking at your purchases, you're looking at your accounts, you're looking at your financial decisions almost through the lens of like you're an anthropologist in your own life. There's no judgment, there's no shame, there's no beating yourself up. It's just like, oh, interesting. I spend too much money when my boss makes me feel like shit at work. Interesting. And then you can start to make changes and financial decisions based on the data. But again, nothing changes unless you change it. You probably came into this conversation being like, yeah, 2026 is my year I'm better with money. But like, if you don't do anything about that, nothing's going to happen.
I love that idea, being an anthropologist in your own life. And something that you said too that was really interesting, like that example of how does my boss make me feel that is contributing to my spending? I think a lot of people look at these like money dates or money tracking as I just record, here's what came in, here's what went out. But actually understanding the why behind it is so key. So, can you talk about that? Like, what are those patterns that people should be looking for?
Yeah. I mean, we started the conversation talking about how money is not really about numbers, right? It's not really about math. It's not about spreadsheets. And this is what we're talking about here is that when you're thinking about getting better with money, we make almost all of our financial decisions with our emotions based on how we're feeling or based on what our brains are trying to do to justify something. So this can be as simple as an impulse purchase. This can be a add to cart or put your credit card down. Those decisions are the first touch point where you can start getting in touch with your body, getting in touch with what's going on in your brain, and actually asking yourself, why am I spending this money? Is it because it's something I really, really want and I've wanted for a while? Okay, great. Or is it, yes, I feel stressed or I am adding things to my TikTok shop because I want to cope? Spending is a vice just like anything else. So that is a great first touch point to start just getting in touch with what's going on. in your brain and body before you make a spending decision. And again, we're doing this without shame. We're not going, oh, I spent much money and I'm again a piece of shit, blah, blah, blah. It's just like, interesting. Okay, I got really bad news today. Or I got really good news today and suddenly I'm buying like shots for the whole bar. Like it is almost always influenced by how you're feeling. And the same thing with these bigger financial decisions. I became a homeowner 6 months ago for the first time, even though, I was a multimillionaire in my 20s and everybody was like, why are you still renting? And once I really sat down with whether I wanted to be a homeowner or not, this was like years and years ago, I kept coming back to, I just don't wanna. Like, I just don't want to do that. And it made sense on paper financially for me to be a homeowner, right? There was dudes in my comments all the time being like, you're so stupid. Why don't you just buy a house? And I was like, I actually love renting. It fits the season of my life. I was growing her first 100K. I was traveling a ton. I was writing my first book. All of these things were happening where I didn't want to worry about home repairs and I didn't want to worry about all of that stuff. And about a year ago, I started feeling differently. And it was because I was in tune with my emotions, not just what the math said, that I was able to make financial decisions that felt right to me. So that's actually the thing that makes women so good with money is we understand how to track what's going on in our brains and bodies in a way that most men, I think, are not really equipped to do or not really trained to do. And this is why you have such a powerful tool at your disposal to get better at money.
I love that example because there's obviously a lot of like sexism rooted in this. The whole idea of like, just don't buy the
Always.
latte, don't buy the pair of
Yep.
shoes. There's so much advice to women. And again, going back into the shame, we look at our finances and we think, oh, if I only didn't buy the latte or if I didn't buy the pair of shoes, then I would be better at finances. When in reality, all of these money rules of we should do this, we shouldn't spend on lattes, we should buy instead of rent. All these money rules, they kind of don't mean anything because it's all about what is best for you, how you want to spend your money, the intentionality behind what you want to spend instead of what's smart or not smart.
Yeah. I mean, it's called personal finance for a reason. Like
Yes.
personal finance is personal. Yeah.
What are some more money rules that you think women should break in 2026?
That first one is the latte or the avocado toast. Basically, it is so sexist. The things that we're told not to spend money on or that they're a frivolous waste of money are like manicures and like blowouts at the salon and lattes and like home goods and like, oh, that is the stuff that gets demonized. As recently as like the Eras tour, everybody's like, oh, they're not reason women aren't rich is because they're spending money on Taylor Swift. But interesting that it's not NFL season tickets. It's not video games. It's not power tools. It's not the masculine things that men are allowed to do for their hobbies. We are told that we're not rich as women because we spend money frivolously, and I'm putting that in air quotes. There's no frivolous spending for men. It's like, oh no, he needs to blow off steam. He needs a hobby because his life and job are so hard. That's the narrative. And so it tells me, first of all, again, that this is not true, that none of this is like actual good financial advice. But in addition, the very things that we are told as women not to spend money on are the necessities to performing femininity in the correct way. If I show up at work, if I showed up to this interview and I didn't have makeup on, the comments would be like, she looks tired. And somebody might not buy my book or somebody might not think I'm professional. And this is even more intense for like Black and brown women, right? The very things that we're being told are a waste of money are the very things that we have to do in order to get raises and in order to be taken seriously. So I call so much bullshit on that. I think almost every rule financially should be broken or at least should be analyzed if it's working for you or not. Yeah, the rent versus buy one, again, is buying is a massive privilege at this point in the United States. Like it's not a given anymore. I live in Seattle. The average home price here is $900,000. You live in LA, I think it's like $1.1 million. Like it's crazy. And so that's just not a sustainable or realistic thing, unfortunately, for the vast majority of Americans anymore. So this demonization of rent is one, just meant to shame you, but two, is not actually financially smart anymore. We've proven time and time again now that renting is actually smarter than buying in most major US cities. I think there are three, though, rules that I keep to and that I don't have exceptions for. And I think it's easier actually to talk about the rules I do keep versus the ones I don't.
I love it.
The first one is that you need an emergency fund first. Before you pay off debt, before you work towards any financial goals. And yes, I don't care if you have $100,000 of debt. I don't care if you have a crazy amount of credit card debt that's super high interest. I need that emergency fund first. Why? Because you need money in the bank should shit hit the fan. We prioritize your mental health at her first 100K. I know you prioritize mental health here on this podcast. Something about your head hitting the pillow at night, knowing you're going to be financially okay should something happen tomorrow, is so incredibly soothing. For women especially, is you need a fuck off fund. If you're in a situation that no longer respects you, your boss is making inappropriate sexual advances to you. You're in an apartment that doesn't feel safe anymore. You're in a relationship that has become abusive, or at the very least is like not fun anymore. I need you to have enough money to get out. So that's the first rule I have, is always an emergency fund first. The second rule I have is that you always need some of your own money. And what I mean by that is you should never be 100% combining finances with a partner. You should never, under any circumstances, be 100% collaborating financially. What's mine is yours and yours is mine with your partner, both because of the situation I just outlined. Everybody thinks it's not going to be them, but I have literally dozens of emails every single week from women, especially who are 40 plus, who are telling me. I was just talking to a member of my team yesterday who was like, we got a divorce and they get a percentage of my business now forever because we merged finances. We didn't have a prenup. All of these things happened. So you should never completely combine your finances. And that leads me to my third point, which is you need a prenup. And nobody wants to talk about prenups. Prenups feel unsexy and like, no, we're going to stay together forever. But the truth is, you already have a prenup. You already have a prenup. It's set with your state. So I live in Washington State. If I got married to my partner and I didn't change anything, the state already dictates that we will be splitting our assets 50-50 if we were to separate. What if you don't want to do that? What if one of you not only has more assets, but what if one of you has more debt? That's the thing. I think prenups are this belief of like, oh, you're a gold digger, or one person has so much more money. And it's like, no, it's actually about making decisions together so that hopefully you never have to use the prenup. Because as we talked about before, a good relationship, you're talking openly about things like what you want in bed, but also how you're managing money together. And if the vast majority of relationships end because of money, you need to be having these conversations very early. And often you setting up a prenup actually prevents you from ever having to use it because you've already outlined what you want, how both of you can feel respected and taken care of. And those kind of conversations lead to a happy relationship. But also on the flip side, especially for women, I see a lot of women get into relationships, they get married, and then they start a business. Again, we were just talking about a member of my team, and that business actually takes off. What happens if you separate? That business was created and grown during a marriage. So now you're giving away half of that business to your ex-partner for potentially the rest of your life. So you need to have a prenup, even if neither of you are rich, even if you don't think you're ever going to break up, because you already have a prenup with the state. And I don't want the government telling me what I have to do in my marriage, and you shouldn't either.
And that's such a good way to say it. If you already have a prenup, the state has decided here's what's going to happen to you. So it's just a matter of you get to decide together instead of the state decides for you. It's such a no-brainer when you say it like that.
It's so important to also, like, the biggest financial decision of your life is going to be who you spend your life with.
Yeah.
And I think that's another one we don't talk about enough is like, I have written a whole book about investing and a whole book about making sure you pay off debt. And we have so many of those strategies too. We talked about them in the first episode. But one of the most important financial decisions, arguably the most, is who are you going to get married to? That is a huge financial decision because your earning potential gets impacted. Your assets might get split. You're spending a lot of time with this person. And is this someone who is going to not only help you build a life generally, but also be committed to bettering your life and your financial life together? Are they going to support your dreams and your goals? Because that is so crucial and so important.
I love that you mentioned too about how they support you and your earning potential with them rather than just obviously those red flags of do they spend money really irresponsibly? Do they not respect your spending? Like there's those obvious things. But then there is that less tangible factor of I feel more inspired. I feel more motivated. I feel more excited about my own career with this person versus someone that, holds you back or downplays your success or that you feel like you have to play small to. That is going to impact your financial earning capability.
Yeah. And this is why, again, I can prove every single time that this is why you need money.
Mm,
Everything gets easier when you are taking your financial education seriously. And I think that in a society and in a system that doesn't teach this, and that also it's so hard to get ahead financially, and a lot of financial experts wanna blame you and wanna say, "Oh, you're not working hard enough or you're not doing enough." We had talked about on the first episode that, like, 80% of our financial standing has nothing to do with our personal decisions, it has everything to do with systemic oppression. But that doesn't mean that 20% doesn't have the capability to completely transform your life, right?
yeah.
And I think that especially at this moment, it's so easy to be like, "Well, it's all fucked." Like, everything's bad, everything's awful, it's so chaotic, and, like, what's the point? The world's burning, so, like, I can't do anything, and that paralysis, frankly, that's what they want you to feel. Like, that's what the people in power want women to feel, is they want them to feel so tired and so burned out, just no lack of agency because then they win. Like, you're
So
controlled,
true.
and you can't do anything about it, and so the best thing you can do right now to feel like I'm controlling something I can actively control, and also I'm fighting against a system that does not respect me, and I'm doing something incredible for myself is to learn about money,
Mm.
learn about how to get out of debt, learn about how to grow your money through investing, learn how to start a business. I think it's just absolutely crucial anytime, but it's so crucial right now.
It's so crucial. What is one or maybe a couple bold money moves that you think that more women should make this coming year? How do we be a little bit more bold with our money?
Yeah. The first thing is to understand that there is money that you should keep around that you can see, and there's money that you should make sure is working harder for you. And I'm going to explain what I mean by that. We get a lot of messages from women who are like, I like keeping my money in a checking account because I can see it. I know it's there and it's not going to go away. And like, it's a kind of a security blanket. There should be money in your checking account. Absolutely. But I'm here to break it to you that the only money in your checking account, no exceptions. I know you're already going, yeah, but what about me? No exceptions. The only money that should be in your checking account is your bills, your monthly bills, plus like $1,000 buffer. That is it. So probably for the vast majority of you, it's like a couple $1,000s. Okay. That's it. Every other dollar needs a job somewhere else. Your checking account is where money is coming in or coming out. It is not where it stays. We were talking about the emergency fund before. 3 to 6 months of living expenses in what's called a high yield savings account. We have the one we recommend linked on our website, herfirst100k.com. But basically, a high yield savings account is the easiest way to immediately make more money and make your money work harder for you for short term financial goals. This is where your emergency fund lives. This is where your vacation fund lives. This is where the I want to buy a house in a couple years fund lives, is that high yield savings account. And then we need to think about once we have that emergency fund saved, which again, some people listening would be like, that's going to take me a while. No worries. That's our first goal. But our other money needs to be working harder for us in an investing account. Something like a 401k offered through your work, an IRA, which is an individual retirement account. But I think women get caught up in this, like, yeah, it feels good for me because I can see it and I know it's there. And ultimately, that is just a coping mechanism for unresolved financial trauma because you're afraid the other shoe is going to drop. You are afraid that you're going to have to go to the bank and get all your money out really quickly. And it's such a common thing I see for women where we're not investing at the same rates men are, or we're not investing at all because we're so afraid. And it's actively keeping us behind. So that is the one bold money move you can make this year is say, you know what? Okay, I'm not going to get stuck in the like I have to see it trap. I am just keeping the money in the checking account that is expenses plus a buffer. Short-term money is in a high yield savings account and I also don't have like tons of money there. I am also investing my money. I think the second thing, and this is one that I'm talking about more and more now that maybe I wasn't talking about 3 years ago, is I want you to at least try entrepreneurship. I don't mean you quit your job and like you have no financial standing and you're just like, okay, we'll figure it out. If it is even called to you a little bit, I want you to think about starting something on the side that is hopefully flexible to your life. I'm not asking you to work 70 hours just for the hell of it because yuck. I am asking you to start investing time into building something for yourself. And the reason I say this as a personal finance expert and as someone who now teaches women how to build businesses is because I hit my first 100K, hence her first 100K's name, at 25 years old. So I had saved/invested my first 100K at 25, which was a huge milestone for me. I did all of that working a corporate job with her first 100K as a side hustle. I then became a multimillionaire at 27. So I 10x'd the amount of money, 10x plus the amount of money I had in less than 2 years. And there were only two reasons I did that. The first was I was investing my money. I was making sure my money was working as hard as I was, but also I started a business. I could not have achieved that kind of financial freedom as quickly as I did if I worked a corporate job. Now, there are plenty of ways to get ahead financially working a traditional job. But if you want life-changing amounts of money, if you want to be able to work for yourself and call your own shots, and you realize that your job is not working for you anymore, you're working for it rather than it working for you. That was my reality, is I was working for men I didn't really like and didn't really respect, who didn't really respect me. I was over that. And after multiple experiences with that kind of environment, I was like, okay, there's something else I can do differently. And entrepreneurship is not for everybody. I will say that. But if you've at least got a little inkling, I want you to start investing your time and energy towards building that. There are a million businesses you can start. And if you're thinking, well, somebody's already done the business I want to do, of course they have. Of course they have. Have you been to the bread aisle lately? Have you walked in the bread aisle at the grocery store? Like, how many different kinds of bread are there that are all kind of the same? There's a million different companies doing bagels, and there's a million different like white breads. There's a whole aisle for just for bread. So you can start a business and be a photographer or be a graphic designer or be an influencer or whatever you want to do that other people have done before. And you can still not only make really good money, but you can make a massive impact on the people around you.
That is a fascinating tip that I don't hear a lot of people talk about for financial goals. And I think too, being both, as I think a lot of our audience probably is too, if you work for a company and then you also have a side business or you have your own thing,
Yep.
there is this sense of like this incredible empowerment and freedom, knowing, of course, the current money I make in my side business does not compare to what my salary is, but there's freedom in knowing I can make money on my own. There's
Yeah.
an unlock that happens when you make your own money out of a service or product that you have created and that only you control that. It is incredibly empowering and freeing. So I think that's amazing advice. And for people who have no idea where to start with that, maybe they think, I have no idea how to take my talents or hobbies or interests or passions or gifts and turn them into a business. Where should they start? Where would you point them?
I actually have a framework for it. I call it the 3 T's: time, talent, and treasure. So time, the first one you need to ask yourself is, how much time do you have and how much time do you want to dedicate to this thing? And what do you want that time to look like? A side hustle where you like, I don't know, work at your gym can be great of getting you more money, but it is very rigid. It's not work when you want. It is like show up at these concrete hours. And you can't really scale it because there's only so many hours a week you can work without burning out. So first you have to ask yourself, just how much time do I have? But also how much time am I willing to give? Talent. What talents do you already have that you can monetize? This is what I did early in my career is I was a social media manager in my 9 to 5. So guess what? I started freelancing as a social media manager on the side. If you want to do something that is a passion for you or you think you'd be passionate about it, but you don't have the talent yet, just know that's going to take you more time and you're not going to get paid as well initially because you don't have the credibility in that industry yet. You don't have the talents. You're still cultivating those. So if you want quicker money or you want to scale your business quicker, you're going to focus on the things you already know how to do. And the last one is treasure. If you're doing this for money as opposed to just a hobby or a passion project on the side, you need to decide how much money do you want to make and how quickly do you want to make that money. So if you're just trying to do something quickly, get some money quickly, then yeah, it needs to be a talent you already have. You need to figure that out. For me, running her first 100K was actually not a quick move. Like, I started the business in 2016. I was not able to quit my job to run that business full time until almost 2020. So it was like 3.5, 4 years. But I was biding my time building that business slowly. And now, of course, it's a multi-million dollar business. So you have to decide from the treasure standpoint, how much money do you want to make? What does that money look like? And are you willing to put in some work for delayed gratification?
The strategy behind it. So smart. And I think so important in today's day and age to have these other options because of social media and AI technology growing. Like, we have more opportunity than ever to be
Yeah.
entrepreneurs. We have so much freedom to be able to be in control of our own wealth. I feel like our thesis statement of this episode, it's our duty to grow wealth. You have the opportunity more than we ever have before, and it's your job to take advantage of it.
Yeah. And what we were discussing before of this feeling of worthiness, I know the kind of person who listens to this show. I listen to this show. It's probably the same person who listens to Financial Feminist. And I know what's going on in the person's brain that's listening, which is like, oh, yeah, but I don't really know how to run a business. Or
Yes,
like, I don't know if I'd really be good at that. Or like, I have to put myself out there. And like, that's really scary. Yeah.
it is.
Yeah. Yeah. It is really scary. And also, no one taught me how to run a business. I did not have entrepreneurs in my family. I didn't go get an MBA. I figured it out. And you will figure it out too. There have been a million mistakes I've made and also a million things I've done right. And I learned how to be an entrepreneur to run this specific business literally every day. It is a crash course in learning. If you are that nerd who loved school, which I was, like loved learning, loved reading, loved doing, like feeling like self-development is your favorite thing, be an entrepreneur. There is no better career path for you because you will be constantly challenged, but also affirmed. And so if you are thinking, I don't really know how to do this, this is where resources are going to be your best friend. This is where education, again, back to that point, is going to be your best friend. Learn from people who are a couple years in front of you. That might be me, that might be on this show, that might be somebody else. I got an MBA in business and in running this kind of business by watching other people who were 3 years ahead of me. And those folks are now like my colleagues and my friends. And I've literally told them like, oh yeah, I watched how you did this, or I signed up for your thing and realized, why did I sign up? What kind of messaging did you use to get me to sign up? And then I would emulate that for my business. So people are teaching you all the time how to run a business. You scroll social media, people are teaching you how to run a business all the time. You just need to pay attention.
So genius. There's so many resources. I don't know if you've seen this thing on TikTok that I've seen a few of them now, but it's like, aren't you embarrassed to put yourself out there? Aren't you embarrassed to
Yeah.
try? And it's like, no, we are on a spinning rock in this major
Yep.
universe. We are like this minuscule person. No, I'm not embarrassed. Like,
Yep.
who cares? Who cares?
And also, embarrassment and cringe are the price of success. Like,
Yes.
I think that is one of those things that, like, it's only cringy until it works. And again, I get men in my comments all the time who are like, this is so cringe. And I'm like, I have so much more money than you, Todd.
Yeah, fuck you,
So
Todd.
much more money than you. Like, and I am so much happier in my life and I get to do really cool, badass things. I have so much more money than you. Why would I listen to you? And so you are going to hear people, and those might be people you don't know, or those might be like your high school friends or your sorority sisters who are like, what is she doing? Okay. What is she doing? I am trying to be a success. And it's only cringe until it works. It is only embarrassing till it works. And that is the price for you building the life that you want. Anything, right? Putting yourself out there, learning to be good with money is insanely vulnerable because it's just like any other skill. If I want to learn how to speak French, if I want to learn how to play the piano, if I want to learn how to roller skate, I'm going to literally fall on my ass learning how to roller skate. That is the price of doing something that I want to do. It's the same thing with money. It's a skill that you're learning. You're not going to be good at it for a while. That's okay. That is the vulnerability of doing something new.
Yeah, it's so true. You're not going to become fluent in French by hoping and waiting until you're suddenly fluent. You become fluent in French because
Right.
you stutter over words and then you learn how to be good at it. It's the same thing with everything else. So if you just accept, I know cringe is a part of it. I know I'm going to feel awkward and uncomfortable and I'm going to do it anyway because
Yep.
that is what it takes to be successful.
And I think one of the best mindset switches that I have committed to for myself that anybody listening should as well is that I don't look back on previous versions of me and go, "Oh my gosh, she was so embarrassing." I
Mm.
don't do that. That might be an initial thought. I might like, "Oh, that was really bad." You can literally, if you want, it'll take you like an hour, but you can scroll back through her first 100K's Instagram and you can see the graphics and the posts I was doing in 2019. It was bad. It was not good. I have learned a lot. And also social media was different back then. And we're literally recording this as like the like show us your 2016 trend is happening where like
Yes.
everybody's going back talking about who they were or like what they were posting or what they were dressing like in 2016. And yeah, you're gonna have probably that initial thought of like just the face I'm making is just like, oh gosh. And then the next thing I say to myself in my brain every single time is I go, you know what? She was trying her best.
Mm.
And the reason I am where I am now is because 2019 Tori was trying her absolute best. And I have no shame for that. I'm so thankful she was doing that because she was putting her reps in. She was understanding what was working. She was not afraid of what other people said about her, or she was like, you know what? People are going to say shit and I'm going to do it anyway. I'm so glad that 2019 Tori was doing that. I'm so thankful for that. I'm so thankful that 2015 Tori stayed in that relationship that was not healthy for way too long. And I have so much grace and kindness for her because now I know how I should be treated in a relationship. I'm so glad that a jackass boss in my first job sucked the soul out of me and made me feel like I didn't have any future because it forced me to get serious about my business. Like all of these things or all of the treatment I accepted, I'm just so thankful for those. And I don't beat myself up because the Maya Angelou quote is so relevant. When you know better, you do better. And I just am so thankful she was there putting her reps in. So thankful she was experiencing those things because they help inform my decisions now.
And I hope that in years from now that we look back and we're like I hope that I look back at this episode, I'm like, "Oh my
Yes.
God, I was so cringy then,"
So
because
cringy. It's so bad.
that
Yeah.
means I
Because
grew.
you grow.
Yeah,
Yep. You had the audacity to keep growing as a
to
person.
keep
Because if you're
growing.
exactly where you were 5 years ago, then like, what are we doing?
What are
What
we
are we
doing?
doing?
What are we doing? Oh my God, Tori, that's so good. Okay, we're gonna wrap up with some rapid fire questions.
Great.
First one,
Bring it.
best purchase under $100 that changed your financial life.
Ooh, good question. Under $100. Like a good pair of slippers? Oh, a heating pad. A
A
heating pad.
heating
That's my real
pad.
answer. I have chronic pain. It's like a heating pad that plugs into the wall and goes like on my neck and shoulders, almost like a cape. And I love this thing. And I think it was like $40.
Wait,
I love
is
it.
this like an Amazon purchase? Like, where do we get this? This sounds amazing.
Probably.
Mhm.
I mean, let's not support
I
Bezos, but like
know.
somewhere. Yeah, you can get it somewhere.
Okay, because I'm like,
Yeah.
I want that. That sounds
Somewhere
amazing.
meaning Amazon. But yeah, no, it's great. I love it.
But
It's
support
so good.
local businesses. Okay.
Yes, please.
Okay, most used app on your phone.
Probably Instagram. I'm not proud of it, but it's probably Instagram. I
Yeah.
also play the New York Times games every day with my partner, so I'm in
Oh,
there almost every
like
day.
the Wordle? I just heard about this.
Wordle, oh, we do the whole thing. Wordle, Pips, Strands, Connections, sometimes Letterbox. So yeah, we're in deep. It's
Whoa.
serious.
Okay, I need to get into this. I know people like love it. Like
Good.
when you're in, you're in.
Yes.
Money, book or podcast episode or film, anything that you've seen that blew your mind.
Oh, that's a good one. This is the thing where like I feel like my entire life is talking about money. So like what I read and what I watch is like traders and smut.
I totally
Like
get that. You need to separate from it. Yes.
I do, but I think, I mean, there's so many cool women in our space doing really great things. One of my favorite books recently, oh, it's not really a finance book, but it's about her journey with money. We had Jen Hatmaker on the show, who I have long been an admirer of, and she wrote this great book called Awake, kind of a divorce memoir, but it is so much more than that. And basically what she realized, and I know this is supposed to be rapid fire, basically what she realized was that her marriage of 24 years was falling apart because he was cheating on her, but that she knew nothing about money. Like she has a whole section where she talks about like, I had no idea what was going on. My husband handled all of it. And then when I was forced to do all of this, I had to start from zero. And speaking of like being embarrassed, she was like, I was so embarrassed. I didn't know anything. She's like, I'm a woman in my 40s. I'm a mom. I've done all of these incredible things, and yet I know nothing. And we had her on the show, and she actually cited our work as one of the things that was able to dig her out of this scenario, which made me just bawl. It was so nice. But I
Wow.
loved listening. I listened to her book on audiobook, and I think it's just like such a rallying cry for women. And it's called Awake. So it's like getting awake to your own trauma, your own body, your own wants and needs versus putting everybody else before yourself. It was fantastic.
Oh my God. I have got to read or listen to that. That sounds amazing. And what a cool moment
It's
to be
great.
like, you were part of what helped me get out of that.
Yeah.
So
It was
cool.
very, very touching.
So cool. What's on your financial vision board right now?
Oh, I'm literally looking at my vision board for 2026. So I'll tell you.
Oh,
It's like my background on my computer. So one of the things I'm doing is investing more in my health this year. I was saying this on the show, but like I've hired like a health coach. And I think one of my other big things also mentioned on the show is like I'm taking my parents on an African safari. And like that is a lot of money, but I'm just so excited to be able to do that for them. That was their Christmas gift. My mom just bawled and
oh.
it was so lovely. And so yeah, I'm so excited to do that. Those are the two big things: investing in my health, spending some money to do that, and then also how do I give my parents a once in a lifetime opportunity?
And what better example of the real value of money? Being able to buy back your time, literally, like health is an investment in the longevity of your life. And then also
Yep.
to use your money to have these incredible experiences with the people you love. There is no better reason to make money. Last question, your intention, resolution, or energy for 2026.
One of my quotes on my vision board is become a safe space for yourself.
Mm.
And what I love about that is I have a lot of things, especially this year, that are pulling me in a million different directions. And my team needs me, and I need to be there for my family and my friends and my partner. And like, it is my job to shore myself up before I can show up for anybody else. So I'm just doing a really good job of filling up my own cup and taking really good care of myself so that I can be there for other people.
What an incredible energy for 2026. And I'm going to seal that affirmation. That's so good. All right, Tori, I'm sure everyone knows where they can find you, but tell us again, where can they find your book, your podcast, social media, everything?
You know, I'm obsessed with you. So thank you for having me back. Financial Feminist is the name of my book and podcast. You can also go to herfirst100k.com/quiz. You can answer about 6 questions for us. It's not pass or fail. It's just us getting an idea of where you're at in your financial journey. And then we'll send you a free personalized money plan. So honestly, that's the best place to get started. herfirst100k.com/quiz.
Tori, you'd never cease to blow my mind. No matter how much I hear you and
Thanks.
consume your content, I still am blown away when I have a conversation with you. Thank you so much for joining me.
Thanks, friend. I appreciate it.
I hope you enjoyed the episode. I know I sure did. Please do not forget to rate, review, and subscribe. It really makes a huge difference for our show so we can keep growing and bringing the content that you love. If you want more info, you can find us at the Everygirl Podcast on Instagram or theeverygirlpodcast.com. Talk to you next week.